On today's episode of Gremlin Garage, we're going to be doing an oil change on my Honda CRF 250L. For this oil change, we'll need a few items. 1.8 quarts of oil. Personally, I like Lucas Full Synthetic Oil 10W30. An oil filter, I chose the K&N 112 filter that fits the CRF 250L. 2 sockets, a 12mm and an 8mm. A funnel to pour the new oil into your bike with. Some kind of pan to dump the old oil into. And of course, a shop rack to clean up any mess that may occur. Now that we have everything we need, let's begin. The first thing to do is to dump the old oil. The bolt for the oil drain is right here on the left side of the motorcycle, inside of there. So using your 12mm socket, we're gonna unscrew the bolt. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Make sure your pan is underneath there, ready and waiting. People have different opinions whether you should run your bike before draining the oil or doing an oil change. I personally change it cold. And my theory behind that is if your bike is off and has been off for a while, all the oil from the motor goes to the bottom. Whereas if you have it running, then it can be everywhere around your motor and you have to wait a lot longer for your oil to drain. If you do it when your bike's cold and has been running for a while, oh yeah, there she goes. You can drain a lot quicker. And don't forget to wipe your bolt clean and the metal once the oil drains, just to make sure when you reinstall everything, it's on a clean surface and it doesn't get any residue stuck between the bolt and the actual engine and then causes issues such as oil leaks. So now allow that to drain. While the oil is draining or just about done draining, let's remove the old oil filter, which is located right here on the right side of the motorcycle. Using your 8mm socket, unscrew all the bolts. You may have to move your pan a little bit closer just because usually oil will also pour out of here just a little bit. There she goes. Now keep in mind there's a gasket behind the oil filter cover. And there we are. And now pull your old filter off. Now that you have the old oil filter off, wipe off any excess oil just to make sure it's clean around this area. Now what we want to do is install the new oil filter. The K&N filter will face this way, so rubber side is on the actual hole there. I personally don't know if it's as crucial on dirt bikes as it is on street bikes, or just kind of a good measure to take, a good precaution, but I'm used to rubbing oil, clean oil, on the rim of the filter, so that's what I'm going to do here too. Get your brand new oil and just tap your finger into the oil and just rub the rim of the oil filter and install it right back on there. And now put the cover back on the same way you took it off. Now, one thing I want to mention is before you put the cover on, take a rag and just kind of, which we can just pull this off real quick, but kind of go through and clean up the gasket just to make sure if there's any metal or anything on there, it's nice and clean. Do both sides just to be safe. And for good measure, just go on the bike as well. And now, do the exact same thing with the actual cover itself. Wipe off the old oil as well, just so it's as clean as possible. I mean, we're putting new oil in the motorcycle. Let's be thorough. Then using your 8mm socket, tighten everything back on. At this point, your bike has had plenty of time to drain all of its oil, so like I said, get in there and wipe that area clean. Do the same thing to the washer on your bolt. And then, just reinstall your bolt back into the motor. And then using your 12mm socket, tighten everything back up. Alright, and now to the final part of this tutorial. We're going to pour the new oil into the motorcycle. Now as I said, this bike takes 1.8 quarts. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is pour one of these 32 ounces, which is 1 quart, 1 US quart, into the bike. And after that, I'm gonna pour 700 milliliters of this, a little probably more than 700, which is roughly 0.75 quarts, so it's gonna be around 1.8 quarts. First thing we do, unscrew the oil bolt. Just to be thorough, before we start, let's just clean this up. Grab your trusty funnel and pour it in. Don't go too fast, just take it slow. That way it doesn't overflow. Yep, dump every last drop of that. Just grab your rag and move it away. Now, for the other 700 milliliters, if you're good at approximating, you can just pour it right in, but I'd rather be certain, so what I'm gonna do is use a measuring cup, which has milliliters, and just measure it out and get the exact number that I need. Put the funnel back to the bike, let it drink. That's it. Now, just go through again, wipe your bike clean of any residue and oil. Make sure to wipe your oil bowl as well, just to make sure that's clean. And close her up. The final and most important step is to turn your bike on and let it run for a few minutes. That way you can make sure that there's no oil leaks and everything is tightened correctly. After letting the bike run for a few minutes, everything seems to be just fine and there's no leaks anywhere. And there you have it, folks. That's all there is to changing the oil on really any motorcycle, but in this specific case, the Honda CRF 250L.